All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping right into something huge, the race to build the very future of AI in crypto. And we're talking about a future that's going to be run by intelligent, autonomous agents right on the blockchain.
To really set the stage here, the source material we're looking at calls this, and I quote, the most profound technological and economic shift since the advent of blockchain itself. Think about that for a second. This isn't just some small, incremental step forward. We're talking about a fundamental, ground-shaking paradigm shift.
And just to put a number on it, we're not talking about some niche little market here. The potential value waiting to be unlocked is in the trillions, with a T. Now, a prize that big, that's going to attract the absolute best minds. And you bet, the biggest investors from all around the world.
Okay, so that brings us to the big promise, right? This trillion-dollar promise of AI. What does this autonomous future of finance actually look like? Let's dig in. And look, this isn't some sci-fi fantasy set decades from now. We're talking about late 2025. That's just around the corner. These agents, they're being designed to act completely on their own. Imagine this. They'll be executing super complex arbitrage strategies across a dozen different exchanges, dynamically managing liquidity pools, and even taking part in governance votes, all of it without a human having to press a single button.
So, if this incredible future is so close, you gotta ask, right? What's the holdup? What is the one great bottleneck standing in the way of this whole revolution? Well, first, let's get really clear on what we're talking about. This isn't just a simple trading bot or some basic script. An on-chain AI agent is a truly intelligent entity. It's a program that can make its own decisions and, get this, potentially control massive amounts of capital right there on the blockchain.
And that leads us to this, a real crossroads. We're looking at two completely different paths for how AI evolves in DeFi. On one side, without standards, it's chaos. It's fragmented, it's riddled with security risks, and innovation just gets stuck in its own little silo. But on the other path, with standards, we get a totally different world. One that's interconnected, secure, and where innovation can just explode and scale up.
So yeah, this is really why standards matter so much. They are the critical missing piece. And let's be super clear. This isn't some minor technical detail for the engineers to worry about. No, this is the fundamental thing that this entire trillion-dollar ecosystem needs to function, both safely and effectively.
When you really boil it down, the whole need for standards rests on three essential pillars of progress. You've got security, which is the bedrock, then interoperability, which creates what's called the Lego effect, and finally, auditability, which is all about trust. Let's break each of those down.
Okay, pillar number one, security. This is the absolute bedrock. I mean, with potentially billions, even trillions of dollars on the line, we have to be able to defend against brand new kinds of AI-driven attacks. Standards are what create a predictable, verifiable system. They're what build trust and prevent those nightmare scenarios of catastrophic losses.
Then we have pillar two, interoperability. The real magic of DeFi has always been this Lego effect, right? The ability to just snap different protocols together to build something completely new and way more powerful. Well, standards give AI agents that exact same superpower. It lets them all speak the same language so they can work together and pull off incredibly complex strategies.
And that brings us to the third and final pillar, auditability. This one's huge. If you ever want the big institutions, the pension funds, the regulators, if you want them to get on board, you absolutely need transparency. Standardized rules are what let us actually see what these AI agents are doing and why they're doing it. That's how you build the trust you need for real mainstream adoption.
All right, so we've covered the why. We know why these standards are so critical. So now let's get into the what. What would this blueprint for AI agents actually look like in practice?
Well, it's kind of like a rule book. And it breaks down into 5 key areas. You'd need things like agent identity and reputation, so you know who you're dealing with. You'd need permissioning frameworks to control what they can and can't do. Then you need standard data formats so they can all communicate seamlessly. Of course, you need transparency into how they make decisions, and, this one's really important, you need emergency circuit breakers to stop a rogue agent in its tracks. So all of this, it naturally leads to the million-dollar question, or maybe the trillion-dollar question, for any sharp observer or investor out there. If this foundational layer is so unbelievably important, who is actually going to build it? That's the real opportunity.
And the answer is, this is not a one-person or one-project job.
It's going to take a whole village of major players to build this new infrastructure. You're going to see leading DeFi protocols, AI research labs, blockchain infrastructure providers. They all have a role. You know, projects like Chainlink, which is all about getting reliable data on-chain, and Fetch.ai, which is literally building frameworks for these agents, they're going to be right at the front of this whole revolution.
And this timeline here, it really lays out the path forward pretty clearly. We're right on the cusp of these agents becoming widespread. That's late 2025. Then, the next couple of years, 2026 to 2027, that's going to be the intense race to standardize everything. And if that race is won, well, 2028 and beyond could be what the source calls a Cambrian explosion of innovation in AI DeFi, just a massive, massive boom.
So we'll end with this one final critical thought. The big question is, who will build the communication highways for this new decentralized future? Because this isn't just about a cool piece of technology. This is about building the fundamental infrastructure for a whole new economy. And figuring out who is laying down those highways, well, that's the key to understanding and maybe even capitalizing on what is truly the next great frontier of DeFi.